Hi, welcome to K-Strology, the place where astrology and K-pop meet. My name is Yvonne and I'm your friendly neighborhood astrologer. Today we will be taking a look at Bang Chan's chart, Bang Chan from Stray Kids. And this is going to be like our first chart, so please bear with me. This is my first time doing this. I just created the space to share my love for astrology, but also my love for K-pop, and to teach you a little bit more about your idols, but also astrology in a very fun and interesting way. So I hope you join me, subscribe to my channel, and watch out for the future videos that I will be uploading. So before we start, just a few things out of the way. I'm a traditional astrologer, so in this channel, what you will find is mainly astrology related to the 2 luminaries and the other 5 planets that we can see with the naked eye. That's what traditional astrology is all about. So we will be talking about the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, we are not taking into account. It's not that they don't exist, but I will just not take them into account as much unless I am talking about like generations or more like generational and bigger aspects, or unless those planets are like in conjunction or in a very hard aspect with the idols that we will see. Also, I want to take this chance to invite you to click that little bell in the right corner, so you can subscribe to this channel. You can support me. Just ask for any charts, any videos that you would like to see in this channel. I will try to cover every idol that's existed and will ever exist, but we all know that time is flying, it's finite, so I will be doing my best just to cover your favorite idols. And I'm starting today with Bang Chan, because he's part of my favorite groups and the group that I stand the hardest right now, which is Stray Kids. So it was only fitting for me to start with my favorites. And if my hoodie is not proof enough, yes, I'm Lino biased, and we will take a look at his chart later on. So I hope you join me. And yeah, let's have fun doing this. Another thing that I wanted to clarify is that I will try to use like the most like simple language, so to speak, when I'm talking about the charts, because I know many of you are beginners, but I will also try to dig into the technicalities whenever possible. Now, one more thing that I want to get out of the way is that most of the times I will not be talking about rising signs. Just a little mini lesson right here. Rising signs are really hard to come by, especially with idols, because they never reveal the time of birth, and that's what determines the rising sign. So I just want you to be patient with me on that. Don't hoard the comments, or don't just bombard me saying like, oh, this idol is this rising sign, I just feel it, or I saw this birth time somewhere. I will only work with reliable data, and today's example is it's one of those cases, because we have one tentative birth time for Bang Chan, so we will be working with that. However, I will try not to focus too much in the house placements and more in the general aspects, like where the planets fall, and just that. So please understand that. And with that out of the way, let's just get started with this. Okay, so this is how the videos are going to look. I will be explaining to you this little wheel. This is our natal chart, and we'll be taking a look at all the placements over here. I know we have the outer planets there. I don't usually use them, but today we will use a few because they are like very close to some important planets. So we will be taking a look at that. So let's just start right away. I'm dying to discuss with you Bang Chan's natal chart. This is so exciting for me. Okay, Bang Chan was born October 3rd, 1997 at 8:54 p.m. in Seoul, South Korea. This birth time, how did we get it? he was asked by a fan in a fan meeting about his birth time, and he gave it to her. So we're kind of getting that as an official, and he has mentioned in one of his previous Chan rooms that he was born at night. So that makes it easier for us to guess. But this is also complicating this chart, because when we see it, it's saying that he's a Gemini rising. So that's the first thing that we see in this chart. He's Libra. He was born in Libra season over here. But what makes it complicated is not for the rising sign, which can change depending if it was a little bit earlier. But if it was just a matter of minutes, and I mean just like 2 to 3 minutes, that he's got the date, like the time wrong, he could have been a Scorpio moon and not a Libra moon, because his moon in Libra is at 29 degrees. The moon in the sky moves so fast. I think you can see it with your eyes when you are outside. Just go out. And if you see if we are not in a new moon type of period, you will see that not only like the earth is rotating, but also the moon is moving, and the moon moves so fast that this could change in a matter of minutes. I just want to show you here, like I can just move the minutes. If I move this 1 more minute, 2, 3 minutes, it just changes into this Scorpio moon. So take that into account. That's why us astrologers are so picky about these things, because an exact birth time and birth date, even in some cases, it's crucial for us to know and just determine if someone is a Libra sun, or maybe they could have been a Scorpio sun if they were born in that fateful day in which, like, we have the sun changing signs. Same with the moon, same with the rising sign. The rising sign changes every hour and a half, even 2, depending on where you are in the world, the time of the year. So I just want you to consider this when you are making your own chart or a chart for somebody, because these little things, the details, make the chart. So just take note of that, and let's move on. So again, the big 3 for Bangchan: Sun in Libra, Moon in Libra in this case with this birth time that we're working with, and Gemini ascendant. So let's start with Libra, because there's so much stuff going on here. So his Libra house is the 5th house, and we have 3 planets in Libra. So we'll take a look at this chart just by the areas where everything's concentrated even more. And by concentration, I mean where most of the planets are. In some charts, we see a high concentration of planets, and in some others, they're just distributed like evenly. One thing doesn't mean that it's better than the other. It's just like some topics and themes become more relevant for the individual. And in this case, for Bangchan, that 5th house of fun, children, sexuality, hobbies is an important part of his life. This is what that house is all about. So the fact that we have the sun, the moon, and Mercury there are just pointing out that those things are important for him, or will be important along his life, during his life, and then we can just start digging deeper depending on the meanings of those planets. So let's take a look at the sun, which is like the most obvious one, because it's determined by our birth date. So he's a Libra sun, and Libra suns are very creative, because Libra is a sign that's ruled by Venus. And Venus is a planet that rules all things related to beauty, the arts, music, aesthetics, emotional expression, but also self-expression like fashion and all these things, and relationships, the way we relate to other. Venus' work is to connect. So It's how we reach out to others, our levels of empathy, how we can understand the other or get in other people's shoes, that kind of thing. And the fact that the sun is responding to that Libra Venus sign, it means that he's deeply connected with his creative self, and like relationships are important for him. He's a good mediator. Libra people, they just like to create harmony, or at least connect with people to some level, whether there is an interest or not. They just like to see the other person. They are also very romantic in their connections, in their activities, and they thrive in environments that allow them to entertain and inspire and collaborate with others. So I think we do see a lot of Chan in here, because he's very like calm when we see him in group settings. He's not born to be in the spotlight, and by the spotlight I mean he's an artist. But even when he's in those situations, we see that he prefers to leave the spotlight to the other guys in the group, and he just takes like the backstage, or he's just monitoring, checking that everybody is feeling good, that everybody is having a good time, that nobody's just feeling left out. And that is a very Libra thing. Libra people like to accommodate. They like to check others' well-being, and they just look like for peace and harmony. Of course, some Libra people can thrive, enjoy drama, because that's a very Venus thing. But in this case, the Sun in Libra just gives us someone who also likes like justice and fairness, and they are very good at being diplomatic and saying things like very tactfully, and they never forget about taking care of other people at some level, at least just in communication, or just making them feel seen. And also, like, Libra people really like to have fun. Like, they just find fun in everything. And this fifth house sun talks about it. The fifth house, as we said, it's entertainment, hobbies. So he was born to chase fun, and not fun just for fun's sake, but he has to enjoy the things he does. Otherwise, his heart won't be there. So I think that's really like a very Chan signature trait. And that's supported by this moon. Let's talk about the moon, because that moon is also in the fifth house. And Libra moons are very, since Libra is an air sign, they tend to be very rational. So, and I'm a Libra moon, so I can relate to that. Libra moon people try and tend to just rationalize their feelings, because the moon things in our life are our body, our emotions, the way we express ourselves, how good we are like expressing those feelings. In the case of Libra moon people, it's hard to express our feelings. Like, we feel deeply because Libra is a Venusian sign, so we are very sensitive. But it's really hard sometimes to translate what we feel into something that really shows how we feel. You know how picky artists are with their craft when they are just not satisfied, and they say, no, this is not perfect. No, this doesn't look how I envision it in my head. That's what happens with Libra moons. Like, we are so entertained and so invested in our minds, like in how we envision the feeling and how we feel it, that it's really hard for us to translate it. But this is easier, or gets easier, if you have other planets supporting that communication over there. And in this case, I think Chan has it easier, or has that support somehow, because Mercury is in Libra too. And Mercury is the planet that rules all things related to our way of thinking, how fast we process information, how fast we learn, how interested are we in learning, but also how we communicate, like forms of expression. And since the fifth house is all about expression and hobbies and being artistic. I think he's found a way and a creative outlet for his feelings through his music. Venus and Mercury, when they are together, they're not together in this chart, but I mean, like Venus ruling this Mercury tells us about someone who has certain like easiness to use Venusian things to express themselves. So Venusian things is music, it's painting, it's writing, it's all things related to the arts. It's even speaking, like public speech is also an art. So I think this is what makes Chan the great artist, producer, lyricist, rapper that he is, because he has this amount of planets in Libra, which are very artistic, like very creative and creative, like driven by creativity. And Mercury is just supporting that, like, yes, go ahead, make your vision come true. Just find the tools to do it, have fun doing it, and also like make a career out of it. So I think that's why he's such a great idol. And I think he's a great example of idols that are ruled by Venus, because, or just like very heavily Venus inspired in this case, because he's not ruled by Venus. We will talk about the chart ruler in a minute, but I think he's really good at those things, those artistic things. He's very graceful. He appreciates beauty. He's also very social. So I think he just likes to birth new things, and I think his music and his lyrics are his children. The fifth house is about children. So most of the people that have like heavy fifth houses are either work with children or want a lot of children, or were part of families where children, like there were lots of children or things like that. I think in Chan's case it's mostly like his hobby, like something that started out as a hobby, just turned out to be like his life's calling. But I don't know if we ever have the chance to ask Chan, do you want kids? I'm sure he wants kids. He will just give his all to them, and he will be, I think, a great parent. So that's for the fifth house and these three planets. We will see some other aspects that they make and how they relate to the others in the chart. But now let's just jump into the ascendant. And a moment ago, I was mentioning that there is a chart ruler. There is a planet that rules your chart, or kind of, it's the commander of your chart, so to speak. And which planet is that? That planet is the ruler of your ascendant. So in this case, Chan's ascendant, it's at 7 degrees Gemini. And Gemini is a sign that's ruled by Mercury. It's a mercurial sign. So Mercury, so when you want to find, okay, and I want to know how that chart ruler is. How is he behaving? Is he doing good things? Are they supporting me? Are they causing trouble in my chart? Each planet has like a task. They can be very friendly, very supportive. Some others can get a little bit feisty and give us some trouble. But in the end, that's what life is all about. There's no perfect chart. There will always be like challenges and things that we need to face. But the planets just give us some tools to navigate those challenges and opportunities as well. So that planet, Mercury, is in the fifth house. We just talked about it. So Chan, like the chart ruler, also tells us about the nature of this individual, because the ascendant tells us about like the energy that they exude outwardly. It's not a mask. Some people like to call like the ascendant the mask. It's not a mask. It's just a way of expression and how people see us. It's just a perception. But also the ascendant tells us about the physique of this person, the physical aspect, them as an individual, and some of the things that they just put out there, some of the energy and the impression that they give. So the ascendant in Gemini talks about like someone who's very curious, has a quick wit, like people with Gemini ascendants, they just think fast because Mercury like just does things fast, connects the dots. They just make associations easily. They can even talk a little bit fast. They are very versatile. Gemini, it's a mutable sign. Mutable signs are known for being like very adaptable and flexible. They're like chameleons. They just adapt to anything, any environment that you put them in. I think this is a really good trait. And for being an idol, I think it's a great rising sign because it gives you that capacity to just respond to whatever comes your way, learn new things. They're very intellectually driven. They are very clever. But on the dark side, these people can also be very anxious, worried about everything. They can be a little bit restless when they don't feel like things are going right. They can be very cunning too, because like intelligence can inspire a little bit of fear or intimidate other people who don't feel as comfortable. But after everything, like they just love life at a fast pace. The faster you learn things, the better. They are known for just jumping between projects. Like this is a very multitasking sign. So I think we can see that in him in the sense that he's always working. He's always thinking about something new, like new lyrics. He's always working on the next album. So I think that's that unstoppable brain that he has. It's his ascendant, and he's very intellectually driven, and that's part of his life. He cannot stop thinking. Like Gemini ascendants have to put that mind to work. And when they are supported by nice planets like the moon and the sun over here, that just makes them like very smart and quick in their feet, like quick to react. Now, here we start seeing a little bit of obstacles, and let's talk about one of those planets that's not as friendly in charts. In this case, in the chart, every chart has a malefic and a benefic planet. It doesn't mean that the malefic is only doing bad things. Please don't think that. But they just create a little bit more trouble or effort in some things, and the benefic planets are there just to support. So depending on the time of the day in which you were born, there are a malefic and a benefic of the sect. That's what we call sect. So we have the night sect and the day or diurnal sect. The diurnal sect, let's talk about that first. The benefic planet is Jupiter, the greater benefic, and the malefic planet is Saturn, so like the greater malefic. And in the night sect is Mars is the malefic planet, and Venus is the benefic planet. Now, how do you know what sect your chart is in? Just watch where the sun is in your chart. If the sun is in this lower half over here, all of this here, if the sun is under there, it's a night chart. So the sun is here, this is a night chart because it was at night. Like it's obvious to the eye, but this is the sky and this is the horizon. So the sun wasn't out when he was born. It was 8 p.m. So it was a night chart. Now, if your sun is over this line, this horizon line, and it's around here, it's a day chart. So the benefic will be Jupiter and the malefic will be Saturn. But since this is a night chart, then his malefic planet, or the one that causes the most trouble, is Mars. And the benefic that's there to support things and make them easier is Venus. And we have them like here. They're kind of close. They're not... Well, yes, there is a conjunction. It's separating, but still it's a conjunction. And actually it's applying. I'm sorry. So it's an applying conjunction. It's 9 degrees from each other. So let's talk about these two now that we are here. And then we'll talk about, because I was talking about the ascendant, but I felt compelled to talk about Mars. That's why I made the explanation about sect. So let's talk about first that opposition from Mars. So as you see, the planets or positions sometimes see each other in the chart, meaning that where certain angles are created in a chart, they just create like very supportive and very nice kind of flows of energy and things get easier or lighter, or some other aspects, they just get heavier and harder. So in this case, oppositions are not a very gentle position. They create some balance, if you like to see it that way, because the ascendant here is at 7 degrees and Mars is here at 3 degrees. So it's a balance, like, okay, in the natal chart, if this is the individual, like our ascendant and first house, the 7th is the others. It's the other person. It's your partner, it's your friends, it's your boss, it's other people. So in this case, the fact that Mars is there in that opposition talks about conflict. Let's talk about Mars first. Mars is the planet that drives and manages all things about energy, drive, intention, even our body, like how much energy do we have in us, how assertive we are, but also conflict. Remember that I told you earlier that Venus wants to connect people. Well, Mars wants the opposite. He just wants to cut things and severe and isolate. And Mars here is creating some conflict with the ascendant, in the sense that conflict is a part of his life. And conflict is a part of him getting closer to others. So sometimes with this kind of opposition, sometimes we see that you cannot live without your nemesis. You cannot live without someone to fight, or like a battle to fight in this case. Also, it's someone who has like a fiery temperament when it comes to others. Like, he just feels so compelled to feel adventurous, and let's see it in a positive light. Like, relationships for him are an adventure, and he will put his energy on them, on building them. But also, when you want to cut ties with this person, he will let you know. Like, once you get into Chan's dark side, oh God. And I think we have seen it. I know that you have seen those videos where he's mad, but he doesn't say anything, but everybody is scared. This is the kind of people that have this Mars. Because let's talk about now that particular placement, like that Mars in Sagittarius, because that's one of the nicest but also scariest Mars positions. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and Mars in this sign gives us someone who's passionate about intellectual pursuits, but also he seeks partners, because this 7th house, as I said, is it's your significant other. Sometimes it's your boss, but it's just the other person. And he always seeks people or partners that are as adventurous as him, or risk takers. because this Mars in Sagittarius is a risk taker. They will just go far. They're the first ones that get into the ship. When you tell them, like, we're going to the end of the world, they're the first ones to jump in. They just want to know. They need to know. They need to discover those things. So this placement is also very inspirational in a sense, because the ruler of this Sagittarius is Jupiter. And Jupiter is very, like, expansive. They just want to grow. They just want to get all the things, do all the things. So I think this placement, this Mars in Sagittarius, also makes him like a very inspirational leader with a strong desire to explore, do new things, very pioneering, explore new things, new ways to connect with people. Just the standard won't do. And they are very difficult to keep in one place. Like, they are very energetic. When Mars is in fire signs, they just exude this energy, and they are very driven by independence. So they like to be with others, but also have their own space when they are in a group. So, and they also respect that in the other person, and they expect, in this case, if we are talking about his significant other, or the person that he decides to marry, he's just looking for someone who's not like as dependent on him, but also someone who matches his energy and his drive, and someone who also like goes to war with them. He's very caring, don't get me wrong, like Mars in Sagittarius, they just stand for their beliefs and the people that they love, but they're not overbearing, they're not overprotective, they're not that territorial, and I think I respect that, and I like that. But that gets a little bit complicated because Mars is with Pluto here, and it's a conjunction. They're just together at the same degree. Conjunctions are created when two planets are within like a 10-degree orb from each other, what we call. And there is not even 1 degree. It's just a few seconds in there. So I think this conjunction between Mars and Pluto just makes him like very explosive, because Pluto, and let's talk about that planet. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about like outer planets, but this is one of those cases in which we need to talk about it, because he's just sitting with that Mars together on the same chair. It's just like one is getting the other on their lap. And I think the one getting Mars on their lap is Pluto, and not the other way around. Pluto is a planet that multiplies the energy, and just the energy of the planet that he sits with. And Pluto is very explosive and fiery in nature. So we have 2 explosive. It's like having 2 bombs that make like an atomic bomb over here. So it gives us a Chan that's explosive in the sense that he's very resourceful. He knows how to get energy even when he doesn't know where he gets it from. Like in this like crazy schedules that they have, I think he's the one that even when he's dying, like feeling like dying because he hasn't slept, he still manages to do all the things and process all the things in his mind and still push through. And I think that's I mean, I admire that. I would not be able to do that. So that reservoir of energy that he has, I mean, guys, we want that. We need that. It's like having a permanent Red Bull on you, just like getting through your veins on an IV or something like that. It also gives him like a very volcanic temper, and going back to that angry Chan that we don't always get to see. I think it gives us an angry Chan that when he's annoyed or just upset, he uses wit and humor to let it all out. And I think we have also seen that. And why do I mention wit and humor? Because these are very Sagittarian things and very Jupiterian things. And since Mars is in Sagittarius, I think that's what makes them special in that regard. So very interesting position. You don't see it very often, but I think a lot of people that were born on that October 3rd, we can see in which aspects of their lives that fiery temper comes out. In this case, it's his relationships with others. He may be someone who's not that easy to get along sometimes, especially when you are not on the same page as him. So watch out for that. But other than that, he's just driven to build relationships. Because let's talk about Venus first, the benefic planet. So we already saw what Mars can do. He can burn bridges, but also help us build them and have the energy to work on these relationships. And one little note in that regard, those relationships, I think that's why he's such a great leader, because he watches over those relationships for the group. And it's so easy for him to stand his ground and fight those battles for the whole group, that he's such a good leader. And this is a great placement for that. He knows how to negotiate. He knows how to defend and ask for their own rights. So I think that's very admirable. Now, going back to this Venus in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio is in the 6th house. So Venus is the planet, as we said, like he's a very Venusian person. Beauty, sexiness, artistry, music, all these things. And in the 6th house, he needs that. He needs those things on an everyday basis, because the 6th house is our routines, is the things that we do every day. It's our own. It's a house that talks also about illness, and when we fall sick, or when we don't feel so good. And I think when he's not doing Venusian things, and when he's not like satisfying his need for Venusian things, he feels sick. I feel sick, and I can relate to that. It's a different placement, but sometimes people who have planets in the 6th house, especially the moon, this is not his case, but this is just an example. People with the moon in the 6th house, they tend to really manifest their feelings or their inner situation, like physically. So if we are not in an environment that's aesthetically pleasing, we may feel bad. And that's what happens to me. So this 6th house about our environment, pets even. He loves animals. You can tell because Venus is here. It's the planet of love, after all. But that, like Venus being in Scorpio, is very intense, and it's too much. It's too much fire for that Venus. And the planets also feel good or bad or not so good, or like meh in some signs. And Scorpio is one of those signs in which Venus says like, I don't know what to do here. Like it just doesn't know how to act, because it has an energy that's the opposite of what it actually is, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So this Venus is responding to those Mars wishes of just like, okay, I will stand my ground. I will do whatever I need to do. So that extreme intensity makes him like someone very emotionally invested and deep. But he also expresses his affection, because Venus tells us about the many ways in which we show our love, meaning like what do you mean? Like oh my God, I'm forgetting that. Okay, your love language. Sorry, your love language. Venus tells us about love languages. And I think in Chan's case, like a Venus being in the sixth house in Scorpio, I think he expresses himself through acts of service. Like that's his love expression. But people who have Venus in Scorpio are also very like mysterious and sexy and brooding, and there's like, there's this magnetism that you just can't tell, like you cannot resist, and that's like amplified by this Mars over here because they're so close, and Venus is responding to this Mars. So I think that's very interesting to see. This can also tell us that he just searched for like sexual intensity, which I think is very like obvious in some of his lyrics. Like he knows how to be charming that way, and I think that being part of his lyrics sometimes, and his personal expression just speaks of how in touch with his feelings he is, and how well he understands himself. So I think that's really cool. Not everybody knows themselves that much, and he also enjoys creating things on a daily basis because Venus is a planet of creativity. So it's just part of his life. He cannot, even when he's on vacation, I bet he's just thinking about things and creating songs in his mind, or just looking for new tunes, or doing something like that. So I think that makes him very assertive, very passionate, very alive, so to speak. And I think it's a beautiful placement. Not many people like to see the good things of a Venus in Scorpio or a Venus in Aries, or like this little conjunction between Venus and Mars, but that just creates individuals who are very driven by desire, whether it's for creation, destruction, depending on the case. But it's drive, and it's what moves the world. And I think in K-pop, you need that kind of individuals that are they just want to do things, create, destroy the status quo. I don't know. So that's very interesting. And we have 2 planets left, just to talk about his chart, and those are Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter is over here in Aquarius at 12 degrees, and Saturn is in Aries. So let's talk about the benefic. All benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, are benefic all the time, but depending on sect, one gets more importance than the other, but it doesn't mean that the other one is not supporting things. So the other benefic in this case is Jupiter. And Jupiter, as I told you, like just amplifies things. It just wants to get more of everything. And it also shows us like lucky areas in our chart. And I think he finds luck in like just pushing boundaries, because Aquarius is a sign that's known for their for being so like out of the box, thinking out of the box, and doing things in different ways and out of the standard. And I think this makes also Chan driven to humanitarian or intellectual pursuits, and expanding like his worldview. He shows this in his lyrics, and I think in his work, because he doesn't want to do the same thing once or twice. He just does that and jumps into the next big thing that's totally opposite of what he was doing before. So, and that's heavily supported by this Gemini spirit, like multitasking. Both are air signs. So, I mean, that's what makes him so flexible. That's really cool. But he also seeks new things, a new inspiration in new things, and I think that's the way he works, and that way that works for him, to do to do his creative thinking. Like, he's really very inquisitive. He likes to ask questions when he doesn't know about something, or he will just do his research. And this is a placement for explorers too, mainly with technology. And I think he's just like that kind of person who likes to break things down and put them together again. I don't know if he does that, but it's a nice example of it. Or someone who likes technology and new advancements and tries to just test the latest gadgets or works in technology. I don't know if he had been, for example, if he had not been an idol, I think he's like, probably somebody should ask this to him in a fan meeting. That would be great. Or maybe just one of those like fan calls that they do. Like, if you were not an idol, what would you do? That would be interesting to see, because I think he would do something related to technology, still related to music, according to his chart. Probably he would just be a producer, or probably creating like instruments, experimenting with new things, but still very driven by innovation, because that's what Jupiter in Aquarius is all about. And that's a great area of opportunity for him. Now, Saturn, our last planet, but not the least important. I think it's one of the most important ones in everybody's chart. And Saturn tells us about the way he relates to others, because it's in the 11th house of groups and communities. And I think friendships and social groups may come with lessons and responsibilities for him. And I think this is very evident in his chart, because being a leader, it's hard for him. And why? Because Saturn is opposing his sun over here. It's not an exact opposition, but it's very close. And like, the sun wants to shine, but Saturn is saying here, like, yes, but shining comes with a lot of responsibility. And Saturn in Aries is a placement of people that may be very resourceful and very pioneering. But at the same time, this is also a placement for people who have a hard time learning the ropes around leadership. And I think he nailed that. But the process for him was really tough. And I think that's one of the reasons why he spent so much time as a trainee. But ultimately, that gave him the tools to become the great leader that he is right now. And I think he has learned that lesson. But it takes effort and discipline. And those are the lessons that Saturn wants to teach us in the chart. And his lessons in responsibility is just acknowledging, in this case, that he can be the leader of a big community. And I think it's not only stray kids, but also stay. And learning that brings, like, being the face of this group brings a lot of responsibility and a lot of people behind that, was a tough realization for him at one point. And I think it's coming back because he's just reaching his Saturn return. Let's talk about Saturn returns for a moment. Saturn takes around 28, 30 years to travel around the zodiac wheel back to the point where it was when we were born, the same degree. It takes like 28 to 30 years. So when Saturn comes back to this degree over here, it's what we call the Saturn return. And Saturn returns are known for bringing that sense of maturity, those lessons learned, but also those realizations of the things that we failed to do, and failing not as in a crushing thing or a sad thing, like, oh, I failed at doing this, no, I failed because I didn't have the tools, or I didn't have the discipline, or I didn't put in all the work that I needed to put, or maybe this wasn't my call. And that's good too, like realizing that maybe you're doing the wrong thing, you're having the wrong career, you're putting your eggs in the wrong basket, so to speak. Those are the realizations that come in your Saturn return. That's why people get so scared when they turn 30 sometimes and they hear this thing. And I think it's a very challenging moment in our lives. Being someone who's been through it already, I think it's very, it can be very scary, but sometimes you cannot even notice. And sometimes you do notice because lots of things just pile up. Like, I'm not happy in my work. I'm not happy like in my relationships. I haven't married, or I got married and I found that this wasn't what I wanted. That kind of thing. It's a very Saturn return thing. And I think he's just reaching this point because Saturn is just about to enter into Aries. So I think this can be a good moment. And I think for him, it's going to be a moment of realization of what he wants to do, if he still wants to be the face of this like collective called Stay. Even when he's not our leader, we chose him. We didn't choose him, sorry, but he's still the image of that, and we have a lot of respect for him. And I think it's just a test for him to see if he still wants to do this. Very respectable if he chooses not to, but I think he just loves his lifestyle and loves what he does so much that he's just going to take it to the next level, probably delegate some responsibilities to somebody else. And I'm not saying that Stray Kids is going to end or something like that. He's just changing and reframing the way he sees life. And that's what happens when you turn 30. So it's just a natural part of life. And I'm sure when you reach out that moment of your life, or if you're going through it at this moment, I think you just need to approach it with a very gentle heart and view for yourself. See where you have succeeded and not just stick to the things that you failed at. And you will see more opportunities coming your way, because turning 30 is just one of many cycles that we have in astrology, in life. So I think it's nothing to be afraid of. And I think it's going to be a great moment for him, because also Saturn returns show us how far we've come and all the things that we have done, and probably how mature we are, like the areas in which we have grown. Saturn is that planet that shows us that good things take time, and that a good wine you cannot enjoy just minutes after just picking up the grapes. It's something that takes time. It has processes, and it's about waiting and patience. And those are keywords for Saturn. And I know that he has learned that the hard way, because Aries doesn't like to wait. They just want things right now and here. So I think he learned his lesson, and I think it's just a moment just to pick up like all the blessings and all the things that he has, and reap what he's sown, and reap the benefits and the good things that he has cultivated along these years. So I think that that's really good, and I hope he has a very gentle, not scary Saturn return. So I think that's Bang Chan's chart. Let me know what you think. Do you really see these things in his chart? I've watched so many videos. I will have a couple reactions coming up to videos of him just doing things where we can see those moments in which he is very Libra, or very, Mars in Sagittarius and all those things. I hope you have learned something about his chart and your own chart even in this video. Don't forget Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell button so you receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Next one is going to be Linos. We're just going in the usual order. It will take us a fair amount of time to go through everything. But I hope you join me in this journey. I hope you have fun. Follow me on social media. Everything's in the comments. And yeah, just let me know. Who else do you want to see in the space? If there's any other idol, any other group that you want to see, we have more things in store. We will have reactions to different reality shows or just videos from your favorite idols. It's not just reading charts over here. And also a few educational videos on just basic astrology, like what do the planets mean? What can you do to remediate some things in your chart if you want to just fix those things or make them easier for yourself. Astrology is a discipline that helps us grow and gives us more tools just to navigate life and make it easier on ourselves and everybody else. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. I'm so 깊이 doesn't make